Welcome back, mamas. Y'all, today we are going to be talking about focusing on what truly matters and how that can change your life because we've been talking about saying no, and that will allow you to focus on what truly matters. And we know that that could be life changing, right? But the key is, how do we do that? How do we figure out what to focus on? How do we know that we're focusing on the right things? So we're going to get clearer on that today. And I'm super excited for you to experience this life change for yourself. So let's get to it. Do you wish you had control of your days, that you had a rhythm, but instead feel overwhelmed, scattered, and like there's never enough time? You're in the right place. I'm Danielle, a recovering workaholic, wife, and stay-at-home mom of 2 girls. I've learned how to reclaim my time and find purpose and freedom so I can be present with my kids and feel like myself again. Here, we embrace where we are, but we don't stay there. So if you're ready to trade the chaos for clarity, the guilt for grace, and the endless to-do list for aligned flow, grab the kiddos a snack and toss in that laundry because I know you're multitasking, and let's do this because your time, your purpose, and you matter. Okay, mamas, so let's talk focus. Let's talk how to get focused on what truly matters to us in our lives so that we can change our lives for the better. We can get what we want. I know if you are anything like me, you truly want to change your life. You truly want to change it for the better. You know that you want more for yourself, but you're not exactly sure what that looks like, or maybe even how to figure out what the right things are, right? I know I was so confused. I thought I was doing the right things. I was kind of grasping straws. I was trying all the things that used to work for me, all the things that used to bring me joy, all the things that I used to do before I had children to bring me this same joy and fulfillment. It just wasn't working, right? My identity had changed. I was now a mother, and the same things didn't bring me joy anymore that used to bring me joy, right? And so, how do we figure out what those things are? And also, how do we say no and figure out how to focus on those things? What the priority is of those things. So let's start with a quote. This one is from Brian Tracy, and it says, "Until you get clear on your priorities, you can't make the right decisions about how you spend your time." So over the past couple of weeks, this has kind of been, it's going to be a 4-parter here. If you've been following along, you know that I started out with talking about 2 reasons to say no and how that could change your life for the better. And I followed it up last week talking about our time and how important it is for you to get your time back. And I know we all have 24 hours in a day, so that wasn't like a literal thing, but it feels like you get your time back, right? When you focus on the right things. And so we're following it up today with how to do that. How do we focus on the right things? How do we prioritize, right? Because that's what it's all about. It's all about prioritization. Prioritize with purpose. This name of this podcast is intentional. That is where we start, right? And it's not just where we start. We have to do this over and over and over again, okay? It's not like a one and done thing. However, that is where to start, to figure out what's important to you at this point in time so that you know where to focus your time, so that you can be fulfilled and happy, so that you can be the mom that you want to be. Because when you aren't feeling fulfilled, when you are wanting more, when you are feeling unhappy, when you are unsettled, you just carry this weight around on your shoulders that you aren't able to be the woman, to be the mom, to be the wife that you want to be, because it feels like you almost have this piece of yourself missing, because you feel, if you're anything like me, I know I've said this so many times. If you heard me on last week, you heard me for sure talk about how I used to define myself by my work. And then once I became a mother, I was defining myself in my motherhood role, right? And that is raising these 2 humans, and they were my everything, right? They were my everything, but I found myself wanting more. I found myself wanting more than just being their mom and taking care of all of the household chores and all of the household duties and doing everything around the house, right? And doing all of our, all of our planning, shopping, everything that we do as moms. I found myself wanting more, even though it felt like I didn't have time to do anything else. I found myself wanting more and wanting to make time for more, right? And that is the key, is figuring out what to do to bring you that fulfillment that you want, because we can fit more in when we figure out where to focus and how to focus. And so that's what I want to talk about today, focusing on what truly matters. And that can be kind of hard when you don't maybe feel like you know who you are anymore, or maybe you feel a little lost, or maybe you think that the same things that were important to you before are going to be important to you now, right? And that may not be the case. You may be shocked to figure out, once you stop and figure out what you really want and think about what are the things that are important to you in your life. What are the values that you hold nearest and dearest to your heart at this time? What are your core values? And that's where I always start. We've got to figure out what's important to you first. Okay. And then we have to prioritize those values, because a lot of times we are going to have the same values in our lives that we had long ago, right? Like we are going to hold the same values. We may have the same strengths, but you may find that you have new values, that you have new beliefs, that you have new strengths even. You're going to have strengths that you can pull from. And most likely you have a lot of strengths that you aren't even recognizing that you have. And once you get clear on what those values are and what your strengths are and what is important to you at this point in your life, and you're able to prioritize those things, it does take some work, okay? I promise you it takes some work. And this is all the work that we do, by the way. We spend the first probably 3 to 4 weeks in Prioritize Your Purpose coaching. That this is my coaching program. We spend that time getting clear on those things so that you know exactly who you are right now. Because if you're anything like me, you may be feeling super lost. You may be feeling super just discombobulated is the word that came to my head. Like I felt like I was so scattered, so all over the place. I didn't really understand why I was so unhappy. I felt like I was doing all of these things and all of my time was busy. I did not have time for one more thing. I didn't want one more thing on my plate or in my life. I was like, what, but why am I not happy? Right? It was because I was filling my life with things that didn't fill my cup. Okay. I thought they should be filling my cup. And a lot of times, you guys, in the moment, it seemed like they might be filling my cup because they were things that I enjoyed, right? And I'm not talking about momming, right? Like I'm not talking about my mom role. I'm talking about extra things that I started adding in, extra things that I started to do that were volunteering. Some of them involved my children or my children's school, things like that. And then some of them were just, charitable related. Some were business related. Some were, I had a lot of different things that I started to get involved in and started doing. And in a way, I was happy in the moment of doing them, but they didn't fill my cup. They were actually draining me. And when I sat still and really thought about it, I figured out that these things were draining me. They were not fueling me. They were actually draining me. They were things that had fueled me in the past, right? Some of them were new things that weren't, things that I had done before, like things with my children's school and things like that, right? But some were things that were just draining me that had in the past filled me. And I didn't really understand it. And until I got still and really thought about it, I kind of recognized that, you know what? This isn't bringing me the same joy. I don't have the same passion for this. Like I can get excited and be like happy in the moment and doing things. And like, it seems like all is well and good and whatever. But then when I leave a situation, it's usually in the car on the way home. Okay. You guys, I would leave something that I had been doing. And I would not feel that filled up feeling that I had felt in the past. I would not feel that. Like I would leave networking events and different things and feel like my energy was gone. In the past, when I left someplace with other people, I was always filled. I was always filled, right? And so I was like, why am I drained? Like I like these people. Like I feel like I like what we're doing. I feel like I like this cause. Like I feel like, one of the things I was involved with was a women's organization that really I loved what they stood for and everything. And I liked the people that I was interacting with. But when I left, I didn't feel filled up. And I started to recognize this and I'm like, why? I started to think, what is wrong with me? Right? Like, why am I not happy anymore? And I started to blame myself. And then I'm like, you know what? This isn't where I am anymore. Like this, I am in a different season than most of these people. I am not filled up because I am not around my people, right? Like I am not in the right place. I am not doing the right things. I needed to figure that out for myself, right? And that's what I want for you. And it's really hard. Like it took me a long time and a lot of work and reflection and different things to do that. And that's why I developed my coaching program, the Prioritize Your Purpose coaching. It's all about you. It's about your purpose and what you want and where you are and what you want at this season in your life. I want to read one more quote. This one is from Steve Jobs, and he says, "People think focusing is about saying yes to the thing that you've got to focus on. But that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that there are. You have to pick carefully. I'm actually as proud of the things we haven't done as I have done. Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things." Okay. So Steve Jobs is talking about innovation and his products and all of this, but this completely applies to us. This same exact theory and what his realization is that focusing, right? Focusing on the things that matter, the things that not necessarily that these other 1,000, what did he say? 1,000 things he said no to, not that they weren't good ideas, right? They just weren't the right idea. And so, not that all of these things that you're doing aren't great, but they just might not be the right thing for you. So, it's just as important to say no to things in your life as it is to say yes. But how do we figure out what to say yes to? And that's where it gets a little trickier, right? You really do need to understand yourself and who you are in this season. And that might take some work. Okay. And I want to help you with that in the Prioritize Your Purpose coaching. Y'all, I really am telling you that you need this. And the reason I'm telling you that you need it is because I know how long it took me to get there. I know how long and how much, and I'm trying to help you to do that in this podcast. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. But there's only so much I can do through the microphone, right? There's only so much I can do without actually getting in there with you and doing the work, which we do in the coaching program. So I know I've talked about the coaching program a lot today, but you guys, it is so important. It will change your life. And I know how much it can affect you when you are spending all of your time doing these things, thinking that this should bring you joy, thinking that there's something wrong with you, doubting yourself, right? And we're going to talk on Thursday more about the mindset that goes into saying no to things, because chances are you've gotten yourself involved in some things that you might have to back out of now, that you might have to resign from now, that you might have to say no to, that you might have to switch gears. I mean, I had to shut down a business, okay? I had to shut down a business. I did have obligations when I started to realize this. I had obligations that I felt like I had to see through, right? One was a presidency. I was the president of my alumni association, and I felt like I needed to fulfill that term because there was really no one else that was going to fill in, take my shoes. Like there's a progression that goes along. And so I felt responsible for seeing that through, right? So there might be some things that you actually have to see through that you might not get to say no to, but there might be some things that you feel apprehensive about saying no to or about resigning. So we're going to talk all on Thursday a lot about the mindset that goes into this, okay? But today we want to really get clear on why focusing on what truly matters will change your life and how you may feel like you are doing that, but how that can be deceptive, how what you've done in the past may not be bringing you that same joy that it used to, and how getting clear on where you are right now is what is super important before you can prioritize, before you can figure out where your priorities lie. You have to figure out who you are right now and what is important to you and your family in this season. And I want to follow this up with one quote. This is from Ellie Rocher, I'm not sure. But it says, saying no to one thing is saying yes to the possibility of another. Saying no to one thing is saying yes to the possibility of another, because you then have time, right? You then have time to focus on something that is going to fill your cup, that will bring you joy. Maybe you don't have the idea yet, or the group yet, or the thing yet that is going to bring you that joy. But once you get clear on what your strengths are, what your values are, where your priorities lie in this season, then you can much more easily find that thing that is going to be the thing that you want to say yes to, and that is going to bring you so much joy and so much fulfillment. Tony Robbins says your life is controlled by what you focus on. That is powerful. And George Lucas has a similar quote. His quote is, always remember your focus determines your reality. Your focus determines your reality. Your life is controlled by what you focus on. Those are very, very similar. And what they both are speaking to is the fact that we get to decide, right? Like we're in control and we get to decide what we focus on. And when we are focused on the wrong things, when we haven't taken the time to get clear on what it is that we want, on what we want for our life, what we want for our family. And when we are going after that, when we figure that out, right? You've heard of goals. Like goals are a thing for a reason. When you are focused on something specific, you are much more likely to achieve it. Like you can dream all day long, but until you actually take action towards that dream, you can know what you want all day long. But until you actually take action of implementing what you want or taking baby steps into making what you really want a reality, you are going to be distracted. You're going to be distracted, right? Because we get distracted when we are not clear. And when we are not clear, we cannot focus. We are just all over the place. We are scattered. You can be scattered even when you know what you want, right? Like it is possible. But once you know what you want and you know how to achieve it, how you're going to get there, the steps that you're going to take, when you can see that what you want is within your reach. If it's not achievable right now, it is something that is achievable. And here's how you're going to do it. When you can focus on that, you can take all the distractions and push them aside. You can live your life not looking left and right and wondering why you're unhappy, what they're doing that you should be doing, what they're doing, that why are they so happy? Like, why is this happening? Why is that happening? No, because guess what? You're focused on what you want. You're focused on what you want and why. And when you know what you want and when you've figured out what is important to you and you've taken the time to do that work, and then you're bringing those things into your life, you are going to be fulfilled. Not saying FOMO will never happen to you, right? Because there's most likely a trip that someone's going to take or whatever. But like, there are so many reasons why that may not be appropriate for you at this point in time. So I hope that you found this helpful. I hope that you understand my heart here and that this does take a lot of work and that you can do it on your own. It is something that you could do on your own. However, I have a program that I have developed that will walk you through this step by step, and I will be there too, helping you along the way. You will have some third party perspective to maybe see some blind spots that you're not able to see. I know that I would have loved to be able to see a lot of my blind spots along the way because when you get caught in a cycle or caught in a circle, it sometimes takes a really long time to recognize that you're there, right? And so I want that for you. Prioritizewithpurpose.com. That is my website. You can find my coaching program there. The Prioritize Your Purpose coaching is at Prioritize with Purpose. I know it's confusing, right? Prioritizewithpurpose.com is my website where the Prioritize Your Purpose coaching program is available. So please go check it out. And until Thursday, y'all, I want to talk to you more about the mindset shift that you may need to make in order to be able to do some of this work. So until then, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Mama. If so, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and then hit share and send this to a mom who needs this in her day. I'll meet you right here on Thursday. Keep smiling, y'all.